subiu dessa na cueva. Kale wanna come?
We're here in Agarawata with Joni Simpson, the representative of the International Labour Organization, to discuss the world of work. Good morning, Joni.
Good morning. Aiboan Banakam.
I guess I wanted to first start asking you about where we are. What is this factory?
Here we're at Hyderabadi garment factory, employing, I think, something like 700 workers, and they are one of the greenest companies in Sri Lanka, and we're here to talk about the workforce.
And tell me a little bit about the situation of workers. We just went through a pretty difficult economic crisis.
Yeah.
And this is on top of COVID and a lot of transformations in economy in Sri Lanka.
Right, indeed.
What's the situation of workers today? What's the challenges?
Yeah, some of the challenges are cost of living. Actually, salaries haven't risen commensurate with cost of living, so that's one of the big challenges. Having a progression in their careers, finding jobs that match the skills that they have, and that's a flip-sided edge as well. Employers are having trouble finding skilled workforce. For the workers in particular, it's leading to a lot of labor migration, looking for other opportunities. So there's a gap in opportunities. There are gaps in terms of cost of living. There are skills mismatches. Sri Lanka has one of the lowest women's labor force participation rates at 31% and stagnant. So it's an area that the government is really concerned about, as well as Sri Lankans themselves.
I guess the way the government, the way society, the way the private sector is going to tackle those challenges is really going to determine the future of the economy, the future of this country. I've been here for a bit over 2 years, and I've seen so much labor conflicts. Every week,
Yeah.
I've seen a new conflict in the public sector, in the private sector, over wages, over conditions.
Yeah.
But you really have a sense of an economy transforming, some sectors trying to modernize, and of institutions that are maybe not following. This is bringing a lot of conflict, a lot of tension between workers and the management. What can be done? What can the country do to tackle those tensions for them not to turn violent? We've seen in the past.
Yeah. Well, in my humble experience, actually, one of the biggest problems is a lack of understanding. And we can understand one another by communicating, by exchanging, and having dialogue to discuss what the issues are and to find solutions for those problems. And that's one of the foundations of the ILO is promoting social dialogue. And in the current context and with areas of dispute in the labor force or industrial disputes, that's the cornerstone of it. It's really the main tool to be able to identify and pinpoint what the problem is, discuss, understand what each other's, if it's in the workplace, for example, management and workers, if there's an issue, we should sit down and discuss what the issue is and what solutions we can propose and where we can find common ground. Doesn't mean we'll always be able to agree on everything, but we can find solutions. And who better to ask to find solutions in a workplace or a factory than workers themselves? So that tool of social dialogue is a critical key for workplaces, but also for society. And it can help prevent those disputes from happening, but it can also enable the solution to arise and then to be able to go back to peaceful workplace. And at the UN, we're promoting that in the public sector, as you know, under the Peace Building Fund, and working in particular with the public sector in key service sectors where the citizens of Sri Lanka are getting services like power and energy, education, health, transport. These are sectors that are critical not only for people, but also for the economy. And we're working with them hand in hand to set up workplace forums, sectoral forums, as also national forums, where workers can bring the issues, and they have also been trained in terms of how to conduct social dialogue to come through with solutions and prevent those explosive conflicts that can happen.
And so this work on social dialogue centers around these workplace forums. How does that work, and what has been the role of ILO?
So far, I believe we've set up 69 workplace forums in different sectors, and there's an ongoing process. It's basically bringing together employees from the public sector, training them, helping them set up the systems to know where to report, how, if they have an issue, how they can raise it, communicate it, and then what the process is to deal with it, so that it doesn't escalate, for example, up to the courts. But there's also forums being set up at the sectoral level as well, where you could say, for example, with electricity, setting up such a sector helps all of the actors come together and be able to discuss the problems and find solutions to avoid service disruptions, for example.
Let me turn just a question on you, Joni. You've been devoting your career in supporting workers, but also in making the workplace a fair place, a fair environment. What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? And also, where do you see the hope in the world of work here in Sri Lanka?
Right. Well, it's the people behind the policies. Basically, inclusion to me has been part of my life since birth, and it's really seeing the transformation when people are empowered, or they progress in their careers, or they overcome barriers, or we see barriers lifted that enable so many others come in. That's really the part that I see. And working with partners, when you see the successes of working with our local partners, it's very fulfilling. And I think being here in Sri Lanka right at this time, you said, there has been a lot in the past, but it's a moment of hope. It's a moment with a government that is quite pro-worker. And I think the workers themselves are also feeling hopeful that there can be positive changes at this time. So with everything happening in the world, I feel like there is a possibility here in Sri Lanka to make really good progress in terms of decent work and advancing workers' rights, but at the same time improving productivity and making sure that aligns well with the priorities of employers and government.
Wonderful. And it's telling that we're here today because, I was asking about what has ILO done with this factory, and they were telling me about all the work you've done here to help women progress in their careers from the factory floor to management, but also the work we've done on disability inclusion. So it's really an illustration of what drives you of inclusion. This factory is really an illustration of that.